Everybody's favorite game, pin the lawsuit on Bruce Ratner.
All right, we need one volunteer to hold Bruce Ratner.
So who wants to hold Bruce?
Who wants to hold Bruce?
Chris doesn't. You don't hold Bruce, Chris?
You can't have a Merry Christmas if Bruce Ratner is tearing down your neighborhood.
Ratnerville, Ratnerville, Ratnerville sucks.
What would happen if, like, you give your daughter a gift, but somebody comes and snatches a gift and gives it to somebody else and says, well, no, I think we want that person to have the gift, even though it belongs to you and you're in your family and you're giving it to somebody else.
Do you think the government should be able to just march in for a developer who is one of their favorites and take your home and kick you out? You should think that if it can happen to anyone here, it can happen to anyone anywhere. And it is, in fact, happening all over this country.
Stealing. Bruce Ratner's stealing people's homes.
You're a mean one, Mr. Ratner. You're a psychopathic greed from Cleveland town that somehow has wound its way to Brooklyn, buying every leader in town.
Take it away.
Hey Ratner, what's your mission? Eviction, demolition. You're up to no good, you're chopping up wood, working on a splinter neighborhood. Billionaires will be paying, local kids will just stay in. Your neighbors who meet on parking lot street, living in a splinter neighborhood. You'll see the traffic, shots and horns and tunes will fill the air. Doesn't matter if we're all asthmatic, as long as you can be a billionaire. Lots of cash will be flowing, but we know where it's going. The Ratners can sleep, cause the party's so cheap. Welcome to our splinter neighborhood. Future generations will just wonder, was this empty building ever used? Yes, we'll say it was the pride and thunder of the public office once used. So what's the point of us neighbors if we can't keep our neighbors? We're happy to fight and do what is right and not live in a splinter neighborhood. And not live in a splinter neighborhood. And not live in a splinter neighborhood. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
We don't want any horns in there where we say horns?
We don't have any horns.
Site of the proposed Atlantic Yards project. As you know, there was a big Court of Appeals ruling today on the case challenging the state's abuse of eminent domain to steal my home, the homes of my neighbors, and the businesses in this proposed project site. Though that ruling went against property owners and tenants, not just in this footprint, but all across the state, here in Brooklyn, the fight against the abusive, corrupt Atlantic Yards development proposal is far from over. So besides the 4 outstanding lawsuits against the Atlantic Yards project, and besides what the plaintiffs on this case intend to do in the coming days and weeks to keep the government from taking our properties, we are calling on Governor Patterson, specifically Governor Patterson, as well as Mayor Bloomberg, to put a stop to the taking of these properties for this abusive project. And it is up to Governor Patterson if he wants this part of Brooklyn to be the next new London. And by that I mean the infamous Kelo case where the state of Connecticut, the city of New London, took a whole neighborhood for so-called economic development, and now it looks like this. And just last week, Pfizer, the corporation that instigated those takings, left with their jobs. This is what we will get at this site in Brooklyn if the eminent domain takings are allowed to go forward and if the project is allowed to go forward. The best case scenario would be a money-losing arena and 20 acres of parking lots.
When Ratner decided to announce his project,
the unveiling,
and the full scope of it, that was pushing on Christmas time. And so, I mean, it's just a natural. Ratner and condemnation and Christmas.
The first time that people came together and did a collective action, a real street action against this project was when a few of us got together and we said, let's go Christmas caroling. And it was the start. That was the first organized activity against the Bruce Ratner project.
Ratnerville, Ratnerville, Ratnerville sucks. Ratner's a schmo and Ratnerville blows. Capers, skyscrapers, and craft on the side. Will he get to do it? You decide. Ratnerville, Ratnerville, Ratnerville sucks. Metronet pride and terminal blind. Shysters and goddess and crooks of all stripes. In the dead of the night, Ratnerville time is the swill time to sell your soul away. Ratnerville time, something smells time to line the pockets at the MTA. Giddy up, get along, get up your map. Hope to God you have some luck. Move or perish in the vanishing streets. That's 'cause Ratnerville, that's 'cause Ratnerville, that's 'cause Ratnerville sucks. When they put out their press release today and talk to you and say they're breaking ground in 2 weeks or whatever they're telling you, it's a show. Because they can't, this is where the arena would be. This, on top of this, and the next block. You can't build an arena with this here and people in it. So nothing's starting anytime soon, if ever. What are we going to do if the sheriff shows up at our door?
We're going to stand in front of his door, all the people that stand out here, and we're going to stop them because it's become that kind of argument now. It's time for the people to take over. So we'll stand in front of the door, and they'll have to plow through us to get to put his stuff out.
If the people here and elsewhere stand in front of the door, we will sit inside and watch TV as they keep the sheriff from
stealing. Bruce Ratner's stealing people's homes.
On the first day of Christmas, Bruce Ratner took from me an apartment for my family. On the second day of Christmas, Bruce Ratner took from me 2 thoroughfares and an apartment for my family.
This is simply a land grab, and it is simply a land grab that is very costly to the taxpayers of this state.
On the 5th day of Christmas, Bruce Ratner took from me democracy.
It was theft with, city of New York or the state of New York, basically giving this one developer, this one rich guy, carte blanche over like this beautiful part of Brooklyn that has just been living together with its neighbors and has really developed through small business and cleaning up, just like, what maybe like in the 70s was a economically devastated part of Brooklyn. Prospect Heights is a wonderful place. And now they're gonna they want to build like Houston Emerald City or something right here. It's disgusting.
This fight here in Brooklyn is an extremely important test case and will set a precedent for these land use battles, eminent domain battles, all across America. I mean, it is outrageous that one private developer can simply be given the gift of your home, your land, your business, your neighborhood for Christmas. It's un-American. This is what goes on in China, in communist China. This is what went on in the Soviet Union for years and years and years. Hitler did it. Mussolini did it. It's not supposed to happen this way in America.
It's Christmas time, and it's also Hanukkah time and Kwanzaa time. But as goes the Christmas story of It's a Wonderful Life, you know, I really think we are collectively, you know, James Stewart. And in the meantime, you've got Old Man Potter, who's just a synthesis of Ratner, Pataki, Bloomberg, Markowitz, Gargano, Chuck Schumer, all these people who just don't get it.
We figured that about 500 people were going to be losing their homes, and so we knew they were depressed. And so we thought, well, the least we can do is go caroling. It is Christmas time, and so that was the first caroling, and it was a couple of days before Christmas in 2003. Ratner had just revealed his lavish plan 2 weeks before that.
Christmas caroling was kind of this thing that kind of set the tone right away. If you come out in support of a Ratner project, chances are you've been paid by Ratner himself, by other groups that are paid for by Ratner. You're going to get something out of the deal. What people who are against the project get out of showing up for an action against the project is freezing cold, no pay, but just a sense that you're doing something you think is right for your borough.
I gotta move this property, sir. Please, I gotta.
Whether we win or lose, the idea that you go out and you Christmas carol, holiday carol, Kwanzaa carol, and Hanukkah carol, instead of spending $500,000 on a glossy flyer that you flooded everybody's mailboxes with, you've done something that's in your heart and your soul, not just your bank account.
Stealing. Bruce Ratner's stealing people's homes.
We started because 3 years ago is back when this whole Michigas came to our neighborhood.
It's irrelevant who owns the nets. The takings of these properties are wrong, and the project is wrong and does not provide a benefit to Brooklyn. It doesn't matter who owns the team. Having said that, it's offensive to subsidize one of the richest men in the world with my home, my neighbors' homes, and our hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayers' money. It's offensive. It was offensive with Ratner. It's a little bit more offensive with Prokhorov. And Prokhorov's never going to set foot, or his team's never going to set foot in Brooklyn, because he only owns the team, he has said, if they move to Brooklyn. The Nets will not be moving to Brooklyn, which we should be thankful for, because the Nets can't win a game. All of our state legislators are up in Albany trying to deal with a big financial mess. I hope some of them are paying attention to the brewing financial mess we would have here with a money-losing arena and the state putting itself on the hook for that money-losing arena bond. But we have a number of statements from state officials. I'm going to read one, and then we'll hear from Matt Brinkhoff. This is a statement from Assemblyman Hakeem Jeffries, who represents this district in Albany. Assemblyman Hakeem Jeffries stated, "I'm extremely disappointed with the decision of the court. The power of eminent domain is extraordinary and should only be authorized in limited circumstances where, unlike this case, there is a clear and robust public benefit. The use of eminent domain to benefit a private developer to build a basketball arena for a team owned by a foreign billionaire is an abuse of this extraordinary power, and I hope that Governor Patterson will choose not to exercise it."
The ESDC essentially, and I want to thank you for your court cases, they are acting as an outlaw operation, and it must not continue.
The Empire State Development Corporation, ESDC, is a private corporation that has governmental powers, with its board members appointed by the governor of New York. But on whose behalf? These three people get their paychecks from the ESDC. They ran an informational meeting the week before and angered the community by not presenting any plans in advance of the upcoming hearing. Here they sit watching people testify on the plan they refuse to let people see.
ESDC, your messiness is strong. troubling Atlantic yards deserves careful review. FEIS has everybody crying. We can't believe that you won't tell the truth. No adequate assessment of the problems, police and fire, and schools and sewage drains. Let Ratner rule is all we hear in your voices, but we will not yield. We resist. We stand our ground. We will not yield. The people will not yield. Let Ratner rule. Ratner rule is all we hear in your voices, but we will not yield. We resist. We stand our ground. We will not yield. The people will not yield.
Once again, another timely remake of a classic Noel.
Blighted Heights is a song that could not happen unless there were an official term, blighted, and that's a legal term that is used very loosely. Ratner and company, including our elected officials, have decided to call this very thriving, bustling neighborhood blighted.
Blighted heights, demolished sites. No one lives near the blight. No small businesses, no little kids. Nothing but steam rising from sewer lids. No one works here at all. No one works here at Wilbur, Dr. Rob, Maid Mary, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-dee. Hey, listen, Marty, Martha, which we don't like what we've read. It says right here that you agree with what Bruce Ratner said. On the first day of Christmas, Bruce Ratner took from me an apartment for my family.
Your messiness is troubling Atlantic yards deserves careful review.
That's 'cause Ratnerville, that's 'cause Ratnerville, that's 'cause Ratnerville sucks. No, it doesn't. that good night. Do not surrender while we still can fight. Do not go gently, make them pay plenty. Do not go gently into that good night. Do not go gently into that good night. Do not surrender while we still can fight. Do not go gently, make them pay plenty. Do not go gently into that good night.
They say Atlantic Yards is a deal that is done. It's to be made of glass and steel, but it's really built from dung. It's a dung deal, D-U-N-G, it's a dung deal.
You got me on my knees, you're taking all my cheese. Nobody's got a job, genetic corn on the cob. The politician protect industry, they don't do shit for you and me. Vietnam style occupation, take it to the United Nations. What do they do? Nothing anymore. Tales of the new depression. Why must you hold us down?
Watch Monday night, 11:30 Brooklyn time, midnight Manhattan time, are always online.
What nation are we invading? Iraq, Iran, Iraq.
Our freedoms and our rights are slowly being eroded by executive orders and by signing statements.
Do you think the government should be able to just march in for a developer and kick you out? You should think that if it can happen here, it can happen to anyone, anywhere.
This devolution of the American press began in 1988, when Ronald Reagan abolished the Fairness Doctrine.
I don't understand why we can't have a little piece of history when everybody else has so much.
No more stolen, fraudulent elections.
This is Freddie's Brooklyn Roundhouse with Cynthia McKinney.
As my fellow Brooklynite, Allen Ginsberg said, the soul should never die ungodly in an armed madhouse.
Freddie's Brooklyn Roundhouse. Watch the show the corporate media doesn't want you to see. Tuesdays at 8 in Brooklyn, Thursdays at 8:30 in Manhattan, and online all the time at freddy'sbrooklynroundhouse.org and youtube.com/Atlantic Yards.
Hello, I'm Reverend Billy from the Church of Life After Shopping. Like many New Yorkers and people around the world, I was dismayed by a above-the-fold front page article in this Saturday, October 10th. New York Times. The presentation of the possibility of driving natural gas from shale deposits in the hydro-fracking process was presented by these writers as if there was no controversy at all, as if people's tap water wasn't exploding, as if there aren't cancer epidemics, people losing their hair, people moving away from whole regions of our country with their children, just dropping everything and leaving as a result of the poisoning of the aquifers and the water supply that they use to live. It's remarkable that apparently the industry just gave them a press release and they wrote their article. We need to press here in New York City, from whatever leverage we have here with the mayoral candidacy and so forth, for upstate and downstate, all New York State needs to be free of fracking. We have to be confident of our water supply for our families. We have to be confident for the people that live anywhere in New York. And let's not stop there. Some of the worst fracking is going on in neighboring Pennsylvania. We need to step forward and represent this emergency with everything we've got. I hope you join me in raising our voices to save our water. Amen.
Fortunately, names like Ratner and Markowitz rhyme really well.
Okay.
Two and a half years Fahad has been held
before trial. And so we are gathered here today to sort of bear witness to that, to make that facility and that process visible, and to ask our colleagues, our friends, our family, and the media, the national media here in the United States, to turn its attention home. Yes, we absolutely have to be looking abroad, but we have to also be looking right here and raising our voices right here to this abridgment of human rights and due process that is happening right here in New York City. Hear, hear. Yeah.
President Obama has said he doesn't believe in torture. He doesn't say the nasty things that Bush or Cheney used to say. So the journalists are pulled off the story of the mistreatment of prisoners.
We're gathered here across the street from the Metropolitan Correctional Center, where Fahad Hashmi is being held in solitary confinement. Some of you know about the case, however, many do not. This is in large part because of media silence around the issue.
I first heard about it through the article in The Nation, which I read, and then the organizers at Thaw got in touch to say that they too had read the article and were horrified.
A lot of my friends work with theater artists opposed to war. It's kind of quaint and quixotic name. Once I read about it, I said I would like to do any small or large thing that I could.
Solitary confinement can drive people insane. It's a form of torture. To put someone in solitary confinement for over 2 years is a very extreme punishment.
Where have the journalists been on this story?
What's going on here? Is this the best they can do and call this a terrorist case? And it makes you question the entire motives of the prosecution and whether or not there isn't something else going on here and something else going on in Fahad's case. Fahad is a strong spokesperson. He's an activist on Islamic issues. And so what it makes you think, the first thing is, are they targeting this guy because he's a Muslim, because he's a strong spokesperson, because he wasn't actually born in the United States as a U.S. citizen, because of who his friends are? But what you can almost for sure say is they're not targeting him because he was in any way involved in an act of terrorism or aiding and abetting terrorism or knowingly having anything to do with terrorism.
We will be here every Monday night. We will be streaming or at least posting video online so you can share with friends and hopefully get them to come out next time. We like to have a music or spoken word piece for every Monday. If you have music you'd like to share, if you have people who you can put us in touch with, if there's someone who you think should be speaking here, come talk to us afterwards, please.